Hare, sharing the screen to one today. Arjuna Uvacha एवं सततयुक्ता ये भक्तास्त्वां पर्युपासते चे चापि रक्षमयक्तं केषां के योगवित्तमाः. Arjuna inquired, which are considered to be more perfect, those who are always properly engaged in your devotional service, or those who worship the impersonal Brahman, the unmanifested. Purport. So here, Arjuna is actually looking for what is the best method of worshipping the Lord. What is better? Is it like worshipping the Lord in an impersonal feature, or worshipping the Lord in his the feature of being personality of God? So that's what he is discussing here. Krishna has now explained about the personal, the impersonal, and the universal, and has described all kinds of devotees and yogis. Generally, the transcendentalist can be divided into two classes. One is the impersonalist, and the other is personalist. The personalist devotee engages himself with all energy in the service of the Supreme Lord. The impersonalist also engages himself not directly in the service of Krishna, but in meditation on the impersonal Brahman, the unmanifested. We find in this chapter that of the different processes for realization of the absolute truth, Bhakti Yoga, devotional service is the highest. If one at all desires to have the association of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then he must take to devotional service. Those who worship the Supreme Lord directly by devotional service are called personalists. Those who engage themselves in meditation on the impersonal Brahman are called impersonalists. Arjuna is here questioning which position is better. There are different ways to realize the absolute truth, but Krishna indicates in this chapter that Bhakti Yoga or devotional service to him is the highest of all. It is the most direct and it is the easiest means for association with the God. In the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, the Supreme Lord explained that the living entity is not the material body. He is a spiritual spark. And the absolute truth is a spiritual whole. In the seventh chapter, he spoke of the living entity as being part and parcel of the Supreme Whole, and recommended that he transfer his attention fully to the whole. Then again in the eighth chapter, it was said that anyone who thinks of Krishna at the same time, at the time of quitting his body, is at once transferred to the spiritual sky, to the abode of Krishna. And at the end of the sixth chapter, the Lord clearly said that of all yogis, one who always thinks of Krishna within himself is considered the most perfect. Lord Krishna said that of all yogis, one who always thinks of Krishna within himself is considered to be the most perfect. So, in practically every chapter, the conclusion has been that one should be attached to the personal form of Krishna, or the highest spiritual realization. Nevertheless, there are those who are not attached to the personal form of Krishna. They're so firmly detached that even In the preparation of commentaries to Bhagavad Gita, they want to distract the other people from Krishna and transfer all devotion to the impersonal Brahmajyoti. They prefer to meditate on the impersonal form of the absolute truth, which is beyond the reach of the senses and is not manifest. And so factually, there are two classes of transcendentalists. Now, Arjuna is trying to settle the question of which process is easier and which of the classes is most perfect. In other words, he is clarifying his own position because he is attached to the personal form of Krishna. He is not attached to the impersonal Brahman. He wants to know whether his position is secure. The impersonal manifestation, either in this material world or in the spiritual world of the Supreme Lord, is a problem for meditation. Actually, one cannot perfectly conceive of the impersonal feature of the absolute truth. Therefore, Arjuna wants to say, what is the use of such a waste of time? Arjuna experienced in the 11th chapter that to be attached to the personal form of Krishna is best because he could thus understand all other forms at the same time, and there was no disturbance to his love for Krishna. This important question asked of Krishna by Arjuna will clarify the distinction between the impersonal and personal conceptions of the absolute truth. So he gives various quotations from different chapters how bhakti is the highest form of connecting to the absolute truth and understanding the Supreme Lord, and also being attached to personal form of Krishna is the most perfect way to connect to Krishna, because Krishna's personal form is this highest form. Krishna has his impersonal aspect, that is impersonal Brahmajyoti, but that is not the highest. As preliminary students in the school of transcendentalism, they may perceive impersonal Brahmajyoti, but the highest realization of absolute truth is Bhagavan. So, see what is here. So, Srila Prabhupada describes two types of impersonalists. So in Srimad Bhagavatam, he says, the impersonalists think of the absolute personality of God in two different ways. On the one hand, they worship the Lord in his Vishwarupa, all pervading in his form. On the other, they think of the Lord's unmanifested, indescribable subtle form. The theories of pantheism and monism are respectively applicable to these two conceptions. Pantheism is Bahu Ishwaravad. So many gods they think, and monism is everything is one. So Vishwarupa and these two conceptions of Supreme as gross and settled, but both of them are rejected by the learned pure devotees of the Lord. So Vishwarupa can be considered to be all-pervading universal form, and that may lead to sometimes pantheism. They may think that to be that Lord taking different forms. So anyway, like if you see, Arjuna is actually helping Advan to clarify what is the best method of worship and what is the best object of worship for everyone. So Gita actually is wonderful in the context of also helping us understand the supremacy of Bhakti Yoga, and also helping us to understand the supremacy of the personality of God above all aspects of absolute truth. So, like we see in Gita, Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, many things are there. But Krishna always concludes by talking Bhakti Yoga as the highest. Same way here, again, Arjuna is putting a question about impersonal Brahmajyoti and personality of Godhead, which is superior. So here also the conclusion will come up as the personality of Godhead is the highest form and highest way to approach the Lord, and that is to be what is that is recommended. Before chapter, we understood that how from Krishna only Narayana form and Vishrupa form are coming. Vishrupa form is temporary also. So again, the Krishna is the original personality of Godhead that was established in the previous chapter. So if you see carefully, if you read Gita, you'll get to the right conclusions. And Gita gives a comparative study also, so that one has full clarity how one should approach the Supreme Lord, in what way, what the best version, what the best way. So there is no doubt, which can be. But somehow, when the commentators are not proper, in spite of having just clear verses talking about Krishna's supremacy as Supreme Personality of Godhead, still they will distract the reader towards something impersonal and all that, because these commentators themselves are not proper devotees, and they have their own attachments to impersonalism and things like that. So they will conclude things in different way. That's the sad part of commentators. Those were not one of them. Otherwise, from the verses of Gita, from the words of Gita, it's as clear as sun, proper says, and it does not need any kind of wrong interpretations. It's a proper Drud Bhagavata as it is. So it becomes very clear that personal aspect of the Lord is highest. So any comment or any question?
Right now, I'm reading chapter 3 on my own, and they're like right now I'm reading chapter 3 on my own. And in there, like the Gita talks about Sankirtan Yagya, and so I think that aligns here, saying that like it's a form of bhakti yoga, I guess, in that it's devotional service to the Lord, and it's the like easiest also and like most direct sacrifice for the
Sankirtan,
Lord.
correct. Yeah. Prabhupada there, he puts up the Sankirtan Yajna the highest, because he is going in a gradual way, Karma Yoga is explaining, but Prabhupada is talking the practicality of Bhakti Yoga in this age is Sankirtan Yajna. But one may not able to do all this Yajna and all that, which is a gradual process of Karma Yoga. So Prabhupada is giving, so that's why this is the amazement of Prabhupada. Prabhupada is telling the conclusion of Krishna is bringing to every chapter. More than what Krishna is doing. You getting? So sometimes people criticize Prabhupada. Correct? Krishna is talking about Karma Yoga and you are putting Bhakti Yoga. So that is not wrong, because Prabhupada understands the essence. So he's putting the essence right everywhere. So that you don't have to waste time. Suppose somebody reads only one verse of Gita and he doesn't read further. So he should get the conclusion in that verse also. So Prabhupada is so genius, because he knows what is the practical thing to be done, what is the truth. So the Prabhupada doesn't want to miss. Prabhupada doesn't want any reader to miss conclusion. That's why he has put Bhakti Yoga all throughout. Beautiful.
Yes.
It's like somebody knows the movie, already has seen, he knows the conclusion. So he may tell the person sitting next to him before only. So that even if he has not seen the movie full, he knows what is going to happen, what is the conclusion of the movie. So Prabhupada is that desperate. That's why Prabhupada explains the whole Gita from the context of Bhakti Yoga, purport. When there is Karma Yoga, worshipping doing the Yagya and all that is being explained, immediately Prabhupada will bring to Sankirtan Yoga. When the Ashtanga Yoga is going on, Prabhupada will say it is not practical. Purport he will say it is not practical for this age. Practical for this age is chanting Hare Krishna. Prabhupada will give the conclusion. So that's why important to read purport. Sometimes people don't read purport. They want to simply read. So they may come to the understanding by that person, but sometimes they may miss also. But reading purport will make it very clear. And the purport should be not from unauthorized scriptless commentator, but should be from bona fide Acharya lecturer coming in this average session. That's wonderful. Okay, thank you. Anybody else?
Hare Krishna, Dadava Pranam Prabhu. It's a beautiful discussion, beautiful purport. Just the idea occurs to me that what's so attractive about impersonalism is that you don't have to answer to anybody. You're on your own. You make your own decisions, and because there's no relationship, you don't have to answer to anyone. To me, that's the attraction, and it's also the illusion, because ultimately we don't belong to ourselves.
What is it, Mataji? A relationship one?
With impersonalism,
There's no relationship.
there's no relationship, and so there's no accountability,
Yeah. Right.
and that's very attractive
Mm.
for so many people. Yes, I'm completely independent. I can do everything on my own. I don't need to answer to anybody. But
Mm.
that ultimately is the illusion that
Yeah.
we are disconnected.
Correct. Thank you.
Very cool.
Very important point. Okay. Anybody else want to share anything? Okay, then we'll pause here. Prabhupada ki jai.